Hi Hurley, Ross Kaiser, great
Ross,
to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Welcome to Daytona, Florida.
Well, thanks for your time today, Hurley, taking your time out of your busy schedule to have a chat with me. Just really wanted to ask you any advice or tips that you could maybe give me running here at Daytona, because I've never driven here. We don't have anything quite like this back in the UK. The banking's pretty steep, so it's all new to me. So any advice would be really grateful.
Well, Daytona, the 24 Hours of Daytona is truly one of the most unique races in the world. And you know, because of the importance of this race, it's at the first race of the season. Everybody wants to come here, so there's probably several hundred drivers. Every year I go into the debriefing where they have the first timers, and
really? Wow.
I'm always amazed at how many hands go up in the air. I've never driven a lap at Daytona,
Okay.
So it's a special place.
Along with me.
Yep, and you know, you've got a 33-degree banking in the east banking, so it's when you're running from the flat up onto that 33-degree banking, it's really quite a transition.
Okay.
But after you've been through it a couple times, it's not an issue anymore.
Okay.
They've resurfaced the track, so you don't know what the old track was like, but believe me, the new track with the new surface is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's so smooth, so flat. You used to have to contend with the drift angle of the car. So not only are you going forward at 190 miles an hour, but you're also going a little bit sideways at the same time.
Okay.
So now you're absolutely secure in your line. So, you know, I suspect that there'll probably be 4 and 5 guys coming off of 4 right side by side without, you know, worrying about, you know, banging into each other. So, but the one thing, it's 24 hours. There's a million things that can go wrong in a 24-hour race, and the whole key to win a 24-hour race is to stay out of the pits. The pits is the curse. You don't want to make any unscheduled pit stops. So the only time you want to be in the pits is when you're taking on fuel and gas. Okay. Any other thing, you're going to diminish your chances of winning. So you got to run clean. You don't want to be too aggressive where you're going to expose the car to any danger. And you just want to be as smooth and as cautious as you can, but not really. You still have to be running a competitive race time, because, you know, it used to be, I've won this race 5 times, and in the early days we used to win these things by 20 and 30 miles, you know, by 10, 20 laps. Okay. That's over with. The cars are so reliable, driven by really great drivers and great teams backing them up. So you've got maybe 10 to 15 teams out there that have the capabilities of winning. Wow. So if you take a little snooze, you're going to never be able to make that back up on the track, where in the old days you ran a really disciplined pace. Now it's like a sprint race for 24 hours. So you really got to be on your toes and not let any memory lapse, not get, you know, thinking about other things, and you just have to be so concentrated on what you're doing. And then once you sort of get into that routine, then the rest is easy. It just kind of falls into a pace and everything works perfect.
Okay, that's great, thank you. And the banking should be easy flat now without the bumps? There's no reason to be lifting out of the power?
No, it was flat even with the bumps,
okay.
But now it's just a non-issue. You just run completely flat. You don't have to worry about it.
So that's your rest time, really, if you get any rest.
Yeah, well, you know, actually, the banking, because of the smoothness now, you actually can relax a little bit.
Okay.
In the old days, you really had to be, you know, hanging on because the bumps were pretty severe. But now, it's just completely smooth all the way around. Coming off of 2 used to be a problem, but those are all smooth, so it's a breeze. But you just got to be. You just have to be careful, even though you're driving a fast car. There are cars that are faster than you are, so sometimes you get lulled into a little bit of security, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a fast car that you're not expecting. So you've always got to assume the worst, and then everything will be good. That's kind of my motto. Always assume the worst, never take anything for granted, and always be cautious and err on the side of caution rather than chance.
Great, thank you. And talking of staying obviously out of the pit lane, I've heard a few horror stories about the pit wall on the exit of the pit lane, so you've got to stay out of there as well. It's pretty tight.
Many very famous drivers have gone out of the pits on new tires, and went to turn left and went straight on
Really?
into the guardrail. So, and that's so tight that if you do get into the guardrail down there and get turned around, you are not going to be able to back up and get out of there. So you'll lose laps if
Right.
you do that. So you just got to be super cautious on that out lap. Your tires are cold when the nighttime temperature sometimes it could be easily in the 30s and 40s here. So you've got super cold tires. The surface is cold, and if you get on the power a little bit too early, especially with the DP car, you'll just spin it in a heartbeat. So just be patient on that first lap. Let everything come up to speed, and then kind of work into your stint as you go along. Every lap gets better.
What's it like in the winner's circle at the end of the race then? You've been there many a time.
Yeah, well, that's the whole object of this exercise, is to get to the victory lane, and I've been really lucky. Been there 5 times, and 1 time with a GT car, so 6 times, and it's a thrill. I mean, when you get through a 24-hour race, you really can pat yourself on the back and say, I've done everything right. I've made as few mistakes as humanly possible, and this is the reward that I'm getting. And so when you slip on that stainless steel Daytona Rolex, that is coveted by everybody here. I don't care if you're Juan Montoya or Scott Dixon or whoever you are. You want that
Sure.
watch, and that's the whole goal. Everybody wants that watch.
That's great. Thanks very much for
Okay.
your time, Hurley. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.